Hi, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to Signature West Podcast. I'm your host, Sam West from Palm Springs, California. I often get asked the question, how's the market? And I always say, which market? Which market? Every market is different. But for sure, post-COVID, every market changed across the board, no doubt. My guest today, all the way from the Bay Area, is Maureen Barker. Hi, Maureen. And from Palm Desert is Tish Herwig. Hello, Tish.
Good morning.
Welcome, everybody.
Good to be here.
Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
I did a podcast back in May 19th, 2021 with Tish. And I was recently, for whatever reason, watching it. And I was like saying to myself, wow, what a conversation that was. And that prompted me to do this. Before we start, let's have you guys introduce yourself, where you're from, and how long you've been doing real estate for. I'm going to start with letters first. So, Maureen, you go first. And
Sure, pleasure. I've been in real estate since 1994, in leadership roles with various positions since 2004. I worked with Keller Williams for 17 years, and I was team leader, general manager, regional director for Northern California and Hawaii for 5 years, franchise owner. And then I jumped off a cliff 3 years ago and started my own company called Guide Real Estate.
Yay.
It's been very well received. And we are now up to 7 locations and 260 plus agents. Primarily, we focus on the producing agents and really creating a model where they have a tremendous amount of support and services, which I think is really needed in this day and age. And I'm happy to be here.
Good. Tish?
Well, good morning. I have been in the Coachella Valley since about 1997 and started my real estate career here in the year 2000. I sold residential real estate for about 3.5 years before I went into the new construction and worked for a Fortune 500 company for several years, managing the Los Angeles, Coachella Valley, and then Ventura County areas for them. When I would say probably about 2010, I started managing residential resale offices, and I had 2 of them in Orange County for a real estate company that was a really kind of modeled a real estate investment firm. We had about 100 resale agents, but we really fed them through our investment side by our we acquired probably, I was going to say about 350 homes a year for Wall Street investors, renovated, leased them up, that kind of thing. So it was kind of a different type of real estate vibe, if you will, because of the times. That was the opportunity. We did about 2,400 fix and flips in about 3 years. So that was quite the journey as well. Then as time went on and as the market morphed into more of a retail atmosphere, I was really eager to get back home to the Coachella Valley and was lucky enough to be meet Bob DeVille and Chris Anderson with Benyon DeVille, and have been managing one of their offices for 8 years now.
Wow. So we have a lot of expertise here. So we know what we're talking about, people. So as I was saying earlier, I did a podcast with Tish back in May 19th, 2021. You guys can look at it on YouTube and all that. And I was listening to it recently, and I realized, wow, what a conversation it was, and the time. And it reminded me, A, it prompted me to do this podcast today, and B, I've always felt then I was a fish out of water, because I thought, and I still do, that I'm the only person on planet Earth that defined the market then as a frantic market, as a frenzy market. I remember saying that on the podcast with Tish, and I thought, and I got that term actually from NPR, so I kind of stole it because I liked it so much. And I believe it was frantic. And I remember, Tish, you were talking about your daughter and how, my God, how are you going to get your daughter to ever buy a home? Right. I think that's kind of
Right.
paraphrasing it. And, even we mentioned like Idaho is no longer affordable.
Right.
So fast forward, what are you telling your daughter now?
Well, I'm just grateful that she bought her home. She is too. And I
Yay!
know, yeah, so her landlord came to her and when the market started kind of really escalating and said, hey, an investor called me and wants to buy the home. And she had been a renter with him for a long time, many years. And he said, but I'll give you first right of refusal. And luckily, I had her going through the pre-qualification process already to prepare for later. And the next step was really for her to start saving for a down payment. So she wasn't quite there yet. But looking at the situation, we were able to pull her down payment from her 401k and get the seller to work with her on closing costs. And we closed escrow and everybody is happy. And now she has a 21-year-old son who was out looking to rent, and he says, whoa, I think I'll stay home for another year or two. I can't afford it. So kind of interesting.
And when was this? When did she buy it? May I ask?
She bought in 2021.
Okay. So she bought during the frenzy.
Right when the market started escalating. And at that time, the price he wanted for her home seemed really high comparatively. And I just felt like the rents were really increasing at that time, kind of faster than pricing was, but pricing was also escalating. So we decided to go for it. And now, so she bought at 350 a single family home on a golf course, which is, you can't even find that now. I mean, so her home would probably be in the mid to high 500s today.
So you're saying the value of the particular property increased in value from 21 to 2023?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Maureen, what's your conversation like in 2021 and in what I defined as a frenzy? Again, that's just my definition. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a frenzy. And it's interesting because I've been doing this. I think this is my fourth market cycle where there's a downturn. And in every market cycle, there's opportunity, right? And we always look back and we think, well, why didn't we buy it then, right? Even though at the time when we were going through that, it didn't seem like it was an alternative for a lot of people. I don't look at cycles being good or bad. I think they just come with a unique set of challenges. Each market, we can't say during that frenzied market when nobody could get an offer accepted. And the poor buyers agents were out there showing, 20 properties and writing multiple offers. That wasn't a good market for them, right? It was a good market for the sellers. But so every cycle has its unique opportunities and challenges. But I do remember the frustration being just, and myself as an owner of a company, my fear was my agents were out there doing things they had never done before, like writing over ask with no no upper limit, and were they writing it correctly? So we leaned in heavily from my perspective and getting more support from our attorneys and how to construct these offers. But again, I just think that every market has its pluses and minuses, and whatever market we're in, depending on who you ask, is the challenge. Like right now is a great time if you're a realtor to be building market share, because there's people getting out of the business. There's people that are going back to work to, W-2 jobs. So really a lot of my agents who can survive this market are digging deep and building up their database, tuning up all their marketing offers and things like that. So again, just specifically that market, it was fun. There was a lot of activity. There was a lot of deals coming together.
Fun.
Well,
Fun.
it was activities,
Okay.
right? But my agents that took listings loved it. Best years they've ever had. I think most agents, when I look at 2021 that have been in this business for a while, best year. It's a record year. But it's not fun coming off the sugar high is not fun. And then if you were a buyer's agent or a buyer, it was really tough.
Maureen, you brought a very good point, and then I'm going to come back to Tish. So every agent I've met recently, even managers or broker that I'm managing, that got into the business from 2010 till now, is in a shock. Like, you think the world came to an end.
Yes.
And I look at them, is it our responsibility to change the narrative to, like what you said earlier, to say, look at the history, study the data.
Yes.
You know, you got another train, the train has been running, and then the train went insanely fast in 2000. Is it our job? Because they're almost practicing real estate today as if, you know, it's still, they almost like they don't know what to do with themselves. It's off track and they're so confused.
Yeah.
And like saying, I've seen interest rate, you know, at 18 and 17. And so
yeah,
is it our, where should we be as responsible management? Go ahead.
Yeah, here's the truth, Sam. We can tell them this is normal. We can say real estate is in predictable 7 to 10 year cycles every and look back at all the history. We can tell them all that, but until they experience it, they don't really get it.
Yep.
I
could not agree with you more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I've just found, like, I met with a couple of managing brokers of offices here, and they actually got into the business like at 2010, right after.
Yeah.
And I felt there's such a gap between me and the person we're having a conversation, and I really felt out of whack, because I don't think that person really understood it or can relate to my conversation. No, it's not a fault of his or hers.
No, it's not their fault.
No.
And we can tell them, and I think they have more data available now than we did 10 years ago. Like on the internet, they can watch every prognosticator say, you know, when they think things are going to shift. But the truth is, until you really understand, and suddenly now, I always compare it to, like, we're sitting at a card table and someone just called a new game. So now we all have cards, the same card, different, you know, cards, but we're playing a new game. And so you just have to switch your mentality on, this is the new game. We can't try and play the old game because that's not on the table anymore.
So, but I go back to your responsibility should be some kind of, because I know not everyone does that, but should the narrative be, you know, whatever, it's an office meeting or in, you know, a panel session or whatever, that, look, yes, you got your license yesterday and I get it, you love it, you're excited, you're a new rookie in town, I get it, but should we have that conversation with them and, you know, say, look, open the history book kind of thing?
Underestimate the enthusiasm of a rookie.
Go ahead.
Good point, Tish. Don't you know agents who got in the worst market ever and that's all they knew and they did fine?
I didn't hear what Tish said, by the way.
What?
I didn't hear what you said, by the way. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said, don't ever underestimate the enthusiasm of a rookie. You know,
No, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Sam, when I got in the market in 2000, I couldn't tell you what the market was doing. It didn't really matter. I just went out and found my opportunities. And I think everybody that is getting into whatever business you are in, it's the one thing that is certain is that everything's going to change. And I don't think it's a matter of getting in a good market or bad market, because there are agents who can't prosper in a good market. So you have to look at the situation as it lies in front of you and say, okay, where's the opportunity? And to me, that is the passion of it. And that is the part that I have for 23 years loved the most, is reading the numbers, looking at the layers and peeling it back and saying, what is it? Where is the opportunity right now? And luckily I was able to work with a group of investors that we did that constantly. And to me, that is invigorating. So more money can be made in a bad market than can be made in a good market. So I think that new agents, no, I don't think we need to say, oh, wow, you're in a bad market. No, you're not you're in a market that is shaped by these parameters. Find your opportunity.
I totally agree. But here's the narrative that I guess now I just remembered that I was kind of almost getting under my skin when I've heard it so many times from so many people, from brokers in Florida, brokers here. It's buy now or never. If you don't do it now, you're never gonna get into the market. That mentality, which obviously, I don't know, I would agree, if I didn't buy then, I might have gotten a better interest rate then, but I probably would have can buy it. I have more options now than I did in 2021. I'm not saying you should wait. I'm just saying that the narrative that we was out there being dictated from agents to the consumer, the pressure, the frenzy, buy now or never.
Well, take
Is
my
that,
daughter, for example. It was
I
a
want
real
to get to
question.
that.
Should she buy now or should she have waited? Well, at that time, to take her and show her rental, so if she decided not to purchase, was going to be as much or more than a mortgage was going to be. So even though the price seemed unreasonable at the time, it may, hindsight's 2020. It was, a brilliant move. But I think I have always lived by this, and I think that folks should buy and sell when they need to.
I think that's the best advice. I would agree with you. I always said that. Or you can afford to. Don't buy because your neighbor bought and you want to be with your neighbor. If you can afford it, buy it. I would agree.
Yeah, do what makes sense for you and your family. And I think that as agents, taking the consultative approach and understanding what a family or what a potential client is trying to achieve, I always teach my agents that, you're not listing and selling homes as much as you are helping people on their journey. Everyone is on a journey to accomplish something, and you got to find out what that is to see how it fits. And it may be that it's not the right time for them to sell their home or to buy a home. Maybe, depending on, what it is they're trying to accomplish. I think once we know that, then, we plug in our piece, which is the real estate piece in that journey to help them accomplish what it is they're trying to accomplish.
That's the best advice, I think. Yeah. So let's go back. I give you guys some assignment. Let's go back to some numbers. What were the numbers like, Maureen, in your territory, in your market in 2021 versus what they are now? Like a short 60-second version.
Yeah. So you asked me to look up some numbers, so I did that. And so I think you wanted a snapshot of May. May 2021, there were new listings on the market, 4,200, and this year 3,700. So down 11%. Now I will say that was May, and it is increased since that time. It's gotten less inventory. And then sold in May 21, we sold 4,200, almost exactly how many we put on the market. And in May 23, 3,092, down 27% in sold, and then pending down 32%. So overall, we are down. There's just an absence of inventory. Everyone has heard that. And so we're off, our market is off between 30 and 35% year to date in number of available homes to purchase.
So your inventory is less than 2021.
Oh, yes. Yes, we don't have enough product. We don't have enough homes on the market. We have a much bigger shift into new homes too. We're at an all-time high in new homes. Our area does have outer bands to build. So 26% of all the homes sold this year have been new construction, which is very high. It's about double what it is normally.
And tell me again, I'm not sure if you mentioned earlier, how many areas is your marketplace?
Greater Sacramento, it's about 2.5 million. I also have an expansion team down in Los Angeles, but my primary market is Northern California.
Right. All right. Mm-hmm. Tish?
Yeah, I think we're, kind of trending similar. I just looked at Palm Desert proper, if you will,
right,
and the number of sales was down about 30%. And the average price was up about 8 to 10%.
Our average price is up about 2%. So Tish's average is higher. But in 2021, we jumped because there were so many from the pandemic on, we had a huge Bay Area influx. So we were one of those areas that was kind of outsized in price increases for those couple of years. And so now it's kind of flattened out.
And Tish, what's your inventory from then compared to now?
Well, it's our inventory it's been flat. I mean, it's inventory has been a big challenge, but it's not just a number of homes, it's the quality of homes. In the desert we have a lot of older homes that were built a long time ago, and so and we are a vacation destination, so we have a lot of homes that have deferred maintenance. And so buyers are really picking
I
homes
said that before. Yeah.
that are in really great shape, great location, and right now priced at value, even though the prices are up, 8 to 10% over 2021. So it's kind of slow go at the moment, very cautiously, I would say. Buyers are really evaluating the condition of homes. We're seeing a lot more negotiations going on from inspections than we did in 2021, where
Right.
people were buying without inspections.
Right. Yeah.
That's always alarming when that happens. You worry about the aftermath of it. And I would say that we did have some buyers that had some buyer remorse after purchasing in 2021.
Tell me about that. Tell me about tell me about that.
Sure. So our feeder markets, for the most part, are Los Angeles, Orange County, and then San Diego. And we saw probably a bigger influx from the Bay Area than we had seen previously, due to people being able to work remotely and vacation. I couldn't tell you how many times I heard buyers saying, "Well, we always vacationed here. We didn't want to be here." And our prices, we're the last frontier and in value pricing for to get a pretty nice home compared to the feeder market. So there was a lot of sales that happened. And then a couple years later, when everyone was going back to work or being called back to their offices, we did see some folks having some buyer remorse about, maybe it isn't what I thought it was, or the house, wasn't what I, dreamed it would be. And the job wants me back. And now we've got to, figure out what we're going to do as a family. So we've seen a lot of that happening as well.
Which, Maureen, you would not have that because, like I mentioned to you before, Maureen, when we spoke a few months back, it's a very different world here in so many ways.
It is. We are bubble, and even the Coachella Valley as a whole, there are so many micro niche markets within it that it's really hard to generalize, so, we're talking 30,000 feet here, but, you can look at one neighborhood right next to another and be completely different market within the neighborhood. So it's a little bit different that way.
Mm-hmm. One last question. I don't know if you have the answer because I certainly can't find the answer. So if you guys do, it's gonna make me very happy. So it's been said so often lately that the commercial sector is in for a big surprise come 2024, the commercial. Mm-hmm. Does that impact the residential sector in any way?
That's a really good question.
I don't know the answer.
No, I don't know the answer. It's funny that, we kept hearing the doom and gloom that was going to be rolling down with a commercial product. But, in the Valley here, we are seeing so much new commercial construction going on. I'm quite surprised. And even some of the older commercial buildings are being remodeled and upgraded. And so, I am not really in that, market space. I don't pay that close attention to it. So I don't really know what that is going to mean, but I'm not seeing a plethora of vacancies like we kind of expected.
Well, it's not. It's 2024. They basically, what they're saying is anything that purchase, it's a 7-year cycle because the loans are different than residential. They're all going to be due, and when the value is not there, they just cannot refinance, or they want to refinance. It's a very different world when it comes to financing commercial. So they're just expecting or predicting that landlord, they're better off letting that go. Because the vacancy is much higher, nobody's going back to the office. And again, we don't have that. I said commercial here for us is very different. Maureen, you probably might know because you guys are commercial happy.
Well, I think so. I think it's the cities that are having more of an impact with the commercial vacancies. I like Tish. We still see plenty of commercial in the suburbs being developed, and different uses, but it's really the large office buildings that I think are going to be the hugest problem. San Francisco has a humongous vacancy rate, and so I've heard about this in New York City too, that they are looking to convert some of those office buildings into condos, and I think ultimately, that's how it may impact residential, is that there might be more availability for living spaces out of some of the commercial buildings. I have 6 leases, so I'm very acutely aware of paying attention to commercial in my own way. And I will say it is totally changed from what I've seen. The need for space. Tish, I don't know how many of your agents come in the office, but it's just very different than it was 10 years ago. I mean, most people, it's been going that way. The trend's been going a long time, where once we didn't have a file cabinet necessary because we're paperless, we didn't have a hardwired phone necessary, we didn't have a desktop computer necessary. It's all mobile now. That people don't need as much space. But now with post-COVID, I feel like they don't want to even be in space. I mean, they want to come for an event or a meeting. They don't want to work from the office anymore. I mean, the only people I have working from office spaces consistently daily are people that have assistants, because they need a place to put that person, or a team. But all my solo agents, for the most part, they might drop in, but they're not working there anymore. I mean, that has been a sea change, I think, in real estate for me. And it's going to continue to affect how real estate companies look at space with their agents and what their need is. What is your experience, Tish, with your agents?
Oh, very similar. So I manage an office with about 100 agents, and I have, during, say, 2 years of COVID, I had 2 agents that came in every day with me. The 3 of us were in our, corner of the building, and I have about 6,000 square feet. So that, it's a lot of space, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until, I would say, maybe, 8 or 9 months ago, that I started seeing a little bit more activity. But you're right, it's agents who have assistants, and also who have a small teams that are coming into the office more often. But I'm very much could say exactly what you said. Not very often. I do create events to try to get them in, and there is this really big faction of collaboration that happens when the agents are all talking to each other.
Yep.
And there's business to be done amongst each other so much. And a lot of that, just like you, I'm the conduit. So I'm, talking to agents virtually on meetings, such as this, texting, phone, however they want to communicate, and making connections between them that way. But when I can get them in person and introduce to somebody they may have talked to on the phone, or that's in their market that could be an asset to them, then we see magic happen. We see deals being done together. We see collaboration, and that makes my heart full when you can see your agents working together like that. So I'm always trying to, sew together an event to get them in. My meetings are on Tuesdays. I do one in-person meeting a month. It's the last week of the month. So this year it falls on Halloween. So we'll have a Halloween party, and we'll see how many folks we get in. I would say I usually run about 40% of my roster, 38 to 42% maybe, that come into an in-person meeting. And it's interesting that the in-person meeting, the attendees, about a third of them are quite different than the ones that participate online. I'll get, 50 or 60% of my roster online on a Teams meeting, but it's interesting to me. Some of the in-person people won't go on Teams, and some of the Teams people won't go in person. So just have to keep shaking it up and see what works. But I think
Yeah, I agree. One other thing that we have put in place is it's called the Guide Community, and it's an app that our tech guy created. He didn't create the app, but he's got it set up for us. And so both online and on your phone, it's like a Facebook group. So people constantly we put all of our announcements there, and the agents do open house. Who can help me hold an open house? I'm looking for a buyer for this area. I need a roofer. So that has been one substitute. I've seen people staying connected through that. But you're right. We as brokers and owners have to figure a way to stay relevant, connected to our agents, so that they don't feel disconnected. And I agree. it is magic when they all get together, but it's
Alright.
just not gonna be that way. It's just, we have to really accept this is the new normal. Companies ever gonna get, especially independent contractor based people, but force them back into an office environment. I mean, we've all changed, right?
I totally agree with you. I don't see it ever being what it once was. And also my licensees at the moment. And so I get them in quite often because I like to be hands-on with them.
Right.
But they're, it's a younger demographic and they're ready to fly. They have their laptop, a seat and four walls. So it's
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I tell you, I had to adjust and I hated it because since 1991 to 2015, I always went in. I always went in. I did not like the home thing. I didn't like to, be with my dog. That wasn't me. And then when things changed, because I kind of quit from 2015 to 2020, and when I came here to the desert and I had to do the home thing, it was torture to me, just torture. Because it's very depressing. You felt isolated. But now I have to admit, I got used to it.
Well,
And
some people are a lot more social and require more interaction. And so it's really good to recognize that about
more than me.
yourself. Yeah, and take steps to fill that void in your life. And I see that with some of my agents that are more social. So I try to include them in more activities and
Good.
interact with them more because that's just what they require. I have other agents who just, quick text answer, question answer, and that's all they
That's the point.
require. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much. It's time to wrap it up. This was really lots of fun and informative. And I will echo again what just said earlier for the buyers or the sellers. If you want to buy, if you want to sell, do it because you want to. Do it because you can afford it. Don't do it because somebody pressured you into doing it because somebody said you should do it. Of course, like you're a mother, you told your daughter she should do it, but she used to do it. That's a different conversation. Anyway, so thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Maureen. To everybody else, enjoy your day. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk to everybody else soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.